Now, Mariam is here for the business news, as you can see. What do you have for us?
Lots of interesting news from the world of private equity, Matthew.
Yet again.
Yeah. Yesterday we had Virgin Media, big talk about a takeover. Today, though, something a little bit more controversial involving two very well-known companies. The BBC has learned that the private equity-owned firms, the AA and Saga, paid no corporation tax last year. That's despite them making hundreds of millions of pounds in operating profits. Nothing illegal has happened, though. Both are exploiting a rule that allows them to use company debt to cancel out the tax bill. Well, let's talk now to James Edsberg, who's from the private equity consultants Lighthouse Global. James, how did they do it? How did this actually come about?
Well, as you just said, any company can in fact offset the cost of any loan, the interest payments on that loan, against their operating profits. So the AA and Saga have benefited from tax treatment which any company can benefit from. There have been no special favours for them. But what's different, of course, is that these firms are owned by quite high-profile private equity firms, and private equity at the moment is reasonably controversial. And that's why I think people are noticing this. The other thing to say, of course, is that the AA, when it was acquired, went through a restructuring. It was seen to be underperforming, and about 3,000 jobs were lost at the time. Now, since that period, the private equity firm would say that it's turned the AA round and it's back to operating profit.
Now, I mean, a lot of people are saying that this is going to increase pressure on the government to change the tax rules. Do you think that's going to happen, or will this change come from within the market itself?
Well, I think it's likely that both main political parties in the UK have said that they're going to take a look at the tax treatment of private equity firms. Essentially, the private equity firms play by the rules, but they play very well, and they know exactly how to make an investment work for them, and they know how to play the tax rules in their favour. The question is whether the large profits they've been making are acceptable, and that's for the politicians to work through. The interesting thing, though, to look at is what's happening in the market generally, because I think many commentators are saying, particularly with the failure of two private equity firms to find a buyer for New Look, one of the big fashion retailers, that maybe this is an indication that the private equity bubble, as it were, isn't going to be quite as frothy as it has been in recent times. And that's because interest rates are beginning to bite, and the loans that private equity puts up in order to make the acquisitions are going to be on tighter terms.
Now, you're talking about the bubble bursting, but as private equity continues in this country and takeovers continue to happen, that's going to worry the government to a large degree, because obviously it reduces the amount of money flowing into the exchequer, doesn't it?
It could do in the long term, but then you have to look at the wider case of private equity, and those in the industry would say that actually it is responsible for better sales figures than, in fact, the FTSE 100 companies, the largest quoted companies in the UK, better contribution to exports than those FTSE 100 companies. There are some good arguments to make to say that that private equity contributes in a wider sense more than just tax.
Okay, James Edsberg, thank you very much indeed.